A meaty paw pounded on the door. "Enter," Captain Bagram grunted, bracing the bar on his chest and taking a deep breath before starting his set over again. The door opened and one of his lieutenants entered, a furry brown Raff, not quite as tall as his silver-black superior. Both had their hair shaved close, since even a Raffi ship was climate-controlled, and they wore ribbed undersuits that covered them from neck to hindfoot, ready to don their armour at a moment's notice. The lieutenant thumped his chest. "Captain, First Officer Seba is requesting you on the bridge. We've received a distress call." Bagram replied between reps. "Has Seba charted a new course to assist?" "Yes, sir," he shifted. "She thought you should be informed of any deviation from our patrol route." Bagram racked the bar and sat up, panting to shed his body heat under all that hair. The lieutenant shrank a little when he turned his eyes towards him, but Bagram silently nodded at the lap bowl sitting beside the lieutenant. He quickly passed it over. Bagram's long tongue lapped up the cold water between the melting ice cubes. "If she's responding as our orders require," Bagram finally said after a long exhale, "then she doesn't need to inform me until after my workout. Tell her I'll be down shortly." The lieutenant thumped his chest and departed. Bagram set the lap bowl on the deck beside his bench and finished his set. After some stretches and a long cold shower, he trudged on all fours to the bridge. "Captain on deck," the ensign at the door declared. The Raffi at every station and console stood and thumped their chests. "At ease," Bagram said, as he took his seat for his aching forelegs. "Seba, report." The first officer thumped her honey-brown chest and stepped forward. "A bug ship, sir. They're reporting escaped and dangerous cargo." "Escaped?" Bagram asked. "What? That fungus they call food finally broke loose?" The bridge crew shared a chuckle. "No, it appears they're transporting life forms of some kind. They're not being too forthcoming with information." "I wouldn't be either if I was trespassing in Raffi space guaranteed by the Concord. What are they doing on our frontier?" "They haven't told us, sir." Bagram snorted his frustration. "All right. Get a boarding team suited up. We've got some questions to ask them." The two mutineers and their mammalian companion paced around while the ship drones anxiously monitored their consoles in Module 7. They had Treat's small comrades unloaded and resting on the floor as comfortably as they could. The ship drone's fearsome tempted Dro to spray some of her own, especially since, unlike her two new friends, she wasn't any bigger or better armed than their hostages. She skittered up to the dark blue soldier drone and clicked quietly. "Treat, what are we going to do?" "I'm working on it," Treat muttered from her busted mandible. From where Dro stood, it looked more like nervous wandering. The thing didn't seem to like this stalemate either, judging by the way it stalked around in its padded feet. Still, at least it wasn't abandoning them for some escape further aft. Treat stopped. Dro glanced up at her, hopeful for a plan to deliver them all. "Well, we could shell the thing back to her, make her take us to the nearest spaceport, give us the credits, and she can have the blasted brute." "No," Dro replied. "We can't do that to her." "Her? The ship queen?" "No." Dro motioned to the thing. "Her." "How do you know it's a her?" "I don't. Better than calling her it, though." "What? It's your pet or something?" "She's a creature just as smart, if not smarter than us. I can't stomach selling her in some auction to some dissecting Alderaan or worse." Treat sighed. "Alright, okay. I'll figure out something else." Their old enemy, the low Admo alarm, sounded overhead in Module 7. "What's going on?" Treat grabbed a nearby ship drone and nearly strangled it. We're leaking atmosphere into Module 6, which is venting faster than our systems can replace it," the ship drone replied, gesturing feebly to the big hole the thing had cut into the intermodal hatch. Treat dropped her. "Alright, fix it." "What?" "You want to live, don't you? Get some tape, some fabric, and tape it shut." The ship drone hesitantly set to work, soon joined by her fellows. Drone turned to see the thing trying to cut through the hatch into Module 8 with her laser cutter. She rushed over and grabbed her paw. No, see?" She gestured back at the ship drones, patching up the hole. "We'll be okay, see? No need to run." The thing blinked a couple of times at her. She reluctantly put away the laser cutter into her little sack and rejoined her and Treat to guard the ship drone's progress. Working frantically, they taped down the hastily cut sheet along every edge, adding a strip here or there, wherever they heard the hiss of air escaping. They all jumped and chirped with joy when the low atmosphere alarm turned off and normal lighting replaced the flashing blue. until an armoured foot punched right through the fabric. Treat's pungent fear scent invaded the module, alongside a little metal sphere that foot rolled into the room. It detonated in a flash. If Treat could open her eyes, she would be able to see. But her nostrils, her throat, her eyes, her ear holes, every opening seared and burned. She rolled around, blind and deaf, on the floor, while that armoured foot used a convenient hole to wrench the hatch completely apart. Through the tattered fabric and the smoke hissing from that spear, marched a Raph just as tall as the thing, only on all fours and completely covered in power armour. It surveyed the room behind its inscrutable faceplate, fixing its gaze, perhaps with curiosity, on the only thing left standing, totally unaffected by their artificial pheromone bomb. The thing bellowed and charged in to smash it with its pipe. Treat watched with watering eyes, the metal shatter against the shape of the Raph's immense bulk. The thing's eyes widened in shock. It leapt back just in time to avoid a swipe from the Raph's paw. Two more Raphi entered, through the hatch, but they stood back while their comrade and the thing circled each other. True to their savage, tribal understanding of war, the flashbacks enjoyed any show of single combat. The Raph charged. The thing sidestepped and let it crash into a console behind where it was standing. Nobody was wounded, except maybe the Raph's pride. It spun around to face the thing, angry judging by the garbled roar it let out as it charged again. This time those pneumatic claws were out and polished with a deadly gleam. The thing rolled again out of the way. It picked up the chem gun that had gone sliding across the deck from Treat's grip and fired a burst at the Raph's armour. The ricocheting fire screamed past Treat's ears. The Raph's claws sliced the chem gun right in half, missing the thing's place behind it by only a hair or two while it backed away into the corner. That's where the thing did something Treat never expected. Staring down the power-armoured Raphi Marine, it bent down and gently placed the useless pieces of the chem gun down on the deck. It stayed squatted down, limbs curled around its head. The Raph seemed to understand the gesture. It trundled forward and reared up on its hind legs, making the thing look as small as a ship drone in comparison. Then its thick, clumsy foreclaws under all that armour took the thing's upper limbs and wrapped them tight against its sides with some bindings. The thing didn't resist. It had surrendered. The beast that had tried so hard to escape had just given up. "Yes!" screeched Ship Queen Horakaki as she savoured her victory on the screen. "I never thought I would actually thank one of those brutes, but send my gratitude over to the Raphi frigate for capturing our loose cargo." "Of course, Your Majesty. Right away." The shipdrane's voice trailed off uncomfortably. "What?" Horakaki's antenna twitched. "What is it?" "There is something you should see, Your Majesty." The shipdrane pulled up one of Module 2's last working cameras, facing an intermodule hatch into Module 1. A Raph stood on his hind legs, attaching something to the outer edge of the hatch, while three of his comrades stood by. "Hold that last order! Ask them what they think they're doing." "No reply, Your Majesty." The Raph finished its work. It retreated back down the corridor. The hatch exploded. Horakaki's face and fear said when she felt the explosion reverberate for her own quarters too. Suddenly things had gotten too close for her comfort. "Arm the ship drones! Stop them! Do something!" she ordered the little ship drone. But the poor insect had finally fainted under all those noxious fumes. A Raph punched the door open into Horakaki's cushioned quarters. It extended the pneumatic claws on its suit. A series of digital clicks from its faceplate translated its grunts into intelligible speech. "Ship Queen, for trespassing our space under the mandates of the Intergalactic Concord, you and your ship are now custody of the tribe of Urash." "You have no jurisdiction here, brute!" Horakaki chittered, a peppery anger scent making the room boil, even if the Raph couldn't feel it encased in his pressurized suit. "I was only transitioning this space from the unclaimed zone. You can't touch me." "Maybe not, but we can escort you, by force, to the nearest tribunal."